Podcaster? I hardly know her.
Welcome to the I Hardly Know Her podcast, hosted by me, Megan McCaleb. If there's one thing I've learned in this life, it's that I still have a lot to learn. This podcast is your invitation to expand your understanding on all sorts of topics and shake things up a little bit. Listen in and learn something new from the stories, professional insights, and a wide range of expertise shared by me and my incredible guests. And remember, my friends, you don't have to be a big deal to do big things. Today's guest is Sondra Lavoie. I have known Sondra for over 15 years. She is one of the most dedicated business professionals that I have ever known. She is so hungry for learning, and as a safety professional in the construction industry, there are some pretty wild stories. And you might be wondering just, at the first thought of, okay, what might be relevant here from something that is very specific to the construction industry. And I will tell you, in the past few years, when I have listened to her speaking about suicide prevention and overall themes of mental health and mental wellness in industries where you don't really see a whole lot of emotions and those tender sides of things, there are absolutely nuggets that can be harvested that we can use in any industry. So listen in, grab a pen to take some notes, and let's get right into it with Sondra. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the I Hardly Know Her podcast. I'm really excited about today's guest because we've actually been acquainted for many years. I met her originally about 8 months post delivery of my now almost 16-year-old child in a former life. We were up to different shenanigans in that time and have stayed connected over the years because she is such an amazing human. And I wanted to share her with you because she has some incredibly powerful tools. And while she's an expert in her own industry as a safety professional, her principles, her methods, and her heart are things that serve our community and the world in ways that we desperately need in the climate of society today. So without further ado, I would love to welcome to the podcast today my wonderful friend and safety freaking badass, Sondra Lavoie. Welcome to the program.
Hello, hello, hello.
So what's up? You're at work today, huh?
I'm working hard, been working early, saving the world.
Yeah. What is it that you love most about the safety profession?
You know, what I love the most about the safety profession is that I actually get to work with a blue collar worker. I
Mm,
get to work with construction workers,
okay.
and my wheelhouse is construction and construction safety. And these are the people that are the backbone of America. These are the people that build America for us,
Yeah.
build the houses that we raise our families in. These are the people that build the offices that we make our dreams come true in. So
Mm,
to give back and be of service to those human beings is an honor, and
yeah.
I'm super grateful.
What drew you to this line of work?
It's funny you asked that. I really had no intentions of being in safety. I wanted to be a cake baker when I was growing up, and I can't bake a cake to save my life.
I love it.
But I actually rose my hand one day and I said, I can do this work. I could fill out an OSHA log, not a problem.
Mm,
And then I came to realize there was so much more at stake than just filling out paperwork. There were
mm,
humans that are going to work early in the morning. They don't get to see their kids off to school. They don't get to come home at night and have dinner with their family. And they're putting in
mm,
hard, hard labor work. And to commit to safety means you're committing to a industry of service. You're committing to
mm.
being a servant leader, but also an adaptable leader, which
Yeah.
are two things that I completely believe in, that I live to my core,
Yeah.
that is part of my family life, part of my personal life. And also, I have these expectations of the people around me.
Mm,
So, also, I had um, an incident where I needed to excel in my career. So I went back to school. I had a fire just burning inside of me to be a safety specialist. I am actually a safety subject matter expert,
mhm.
and I've just really excelled. It's my calling,
Yeah.
and when you have a calling and a passion for it, you just become one of the best in the world.
Yeah. Oh man, no doubt. And it's been amazing to watch your journey and see all of the evolution and progress and just the expansion of everything that you're able to now bring a good influence and awareness on so many levels. Do you remember, kind of just to dig a little deeper, when you were saying you realized it was so much more than just paperwork? Like, do you remember there being certain circumstances, or were you hearing stories, or were you witnessing things happening at work where you're like, whoa, 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 this is about real people? Like, at what was that catalyst where you're just like, this is big, this is important?
Well, actually, that catalyst is probably the worst thing that can happen on a construction site, and that's death.
Mm,
And maiming of human beings that are, honestly are discounted often just because they work in construction. These are some of the smartest, wisest, ingen- just ingenious human beings that I
mm,
know that can
yeah.
create so much. And, what I was seeing is people just using paper to push insurance policies or just creating policies just to make sure that they got the job and not really training these workers about safety hazards and getting into the training and what is actually going to harm them or
Mm,
actually even kill them. So I come in and I started training these people, getting to know them, getting to know their families, and wanting them to go home as the humans that they came to work as.
mm.
And it's so important that we get to, I get to do this for a living. And I feel, again, that honor and that privilege to be a service to people who are so much more than what people have this perception of.
Yeah. Why do you think that is, that there are so many problems, or lack of education, or is it a lack of caring? Is it a lack of time and resources? Why is there such a potential problem in this area?
Construction is a very stoic profession. It is
Mm,
a profession where you're constantly told to man up, leave your feelings at the door. Also, time is money and money is time, and people are so worried about production.
mhm,
And with that, taking some time for safety means you're taking time from production. So, and my specialty is I understand the language of my trades and I got to know my trades and I got to know what they are doing and how they talk to each other. And with that, I'm able to communicate and connect. And
mm,
my words have impact. And I'm
mhm,
very intentional with what I'm saying to my workers and the people that I get down and work with.
mhm,
Um, and so when I do those talks with impact and intent, like I'm really specific about the language that I'm using, I connect with them. And not everybody's willing to connect with construction workers.
mm,
I feel that people think, oh, they come home, that it's not glamorous. It's, these guys are working in dirt. They're coming home all messy. But I mean, like, I'd rather hear the stories of what people have their invisible handprint on in all the buildings around our city and
mhm.
across our nation than somebody who sits in those buildings.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, it's incredibly intriguing, and the more I learn from hearing different stories of yours, the more I'm just like, whoa. I'm curious, like, what what gets people into construction in general? Like, is it a generational thing? Like, is there amazing benefits? Is there all sorts of things? I just
Oh,
am just now genuinely getting curious. I'm like, I don't think I really even know this answer. Like, what's the draw? And do they know there's like a massive risk of being around heavy equipment and on these tight deadline? I mean, I'm asking 7
yeah.
questions at once, so I'll stop there.
No, these are great questions, and these are questions that are not asked enough by
Mm,
society. Why does somebody get into the trades? Money. The money is amazing. Our
oh,
trade partners, they make great money, starting money. My
yeah.
daughter is going into the trades. She
Mhm.
is 23 and she's going to lineman school. The
Mm,
starting pay for a lineman is 75 to 85K
mm.
starting.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I didn't even make that kind of money till I was well into my 40s.
Mm,
And she's 23.
yeah.
Yes, they do understand the risks. They do understand the risk. It's the people that do not go out to the field. It's the people that do not actually do the work, that do not
Mm,
understand the risk, and are putting our trades at risk.
Oh, okay.
So
Ooh,
say I'm an
okay.
owner and I
Mm,
don't do the work. However, I'm putting
mhm.
my team out there, and if I don't see the value in their safety, I'm not going to see value in safety at all and say, pass this up and get your work done. But
Mhm.
once you actually put your boots on the ground and you get to realize that these people have children, they have dogs, they have bills, they have a life outside of work,
Yeah,
you really start to value that human life. You start
right.
to value that trade, that they have that skill set. I always tell my workers, you know, you do not live to work. You don't live to work. You live to go live your life. Go do stuff.
Yeah.
And this world's so amazing. I can't, I hope to not only inspire the people that I have in my circle. I want to inspire people outside the circle. Stay safe and go do amazing things. I have other words
Mm.
for that, but go do amazing things. And
Yeah,
communicating to them is so important, and how you communicate to them is extremely important.
yeah. Now, you recently have begun a journey of having a little more amplification around a pretty hot topic. So you mentioned earlier that some of the dangers of not
Mhm.
having safety is loss of life in the workplace. It's a very real challenge. So I want to kind of shift gears here a little bit, and I want to gently lead in with this simple image here. We've got a donut here, folks. Ooh, actually, several delicious donuts. Talk to me about the donut. Why are you using the donut? What are you doing with it? And how does this have anything to do with an incredibly challenging conversation?
Hello, my love language, donuts. Who doesn't love a good American fried donut? I mean,
Mhm.
and donuts are important in the construction industry. They are a guaranteed audience for your safety meeting or any meeting. Heck, you got a guaranteed visit with me if you bring a donut. So in construction, we get up early. We get up so early. This morning, actually, I got up at 5 a.m. for a
Mm.
construction meeting across town. Got there at 5:30. Brought my donuts. A donut gives me these 15 minutes of precious time. 10 minutes of their mouth full, and they're not talking back to me. I mean, they're into their donut and they're drinking their coffee and they're like, she's our hero for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But the precious time is the 5 minute sugar high. I'm not lying. They are caffeinated and they've got the sugar high. What's most important is I'm speaking their language. And
Mhm.
I have to tell you, nobody will call you out on your BS than a construction worker when you're trying to lie to them or trying to fake who you are. You
Mm,
have to be able to say, I know what you're doing. I understand the soil you're working in, the heavy
yeah,
equipment that you're operating, the material that you're rigging, the um, SDS that you have to follow with the chemicals that you're creating with the two-part mix. You have
yeah.
to speak their language or they will call you out and discount you. They will turn away. So when I have those 15 minutes with them eating, I have to make sure my words are very intentional. And they
Mhm,
also have to be very, how do I say this? They have to have impact.
mhm.
They have to be quick and they have to have impact. And it has to be brass tacks. They don't want fluffy stories. These gentlemen know they're paid by the hour and they're getting paid really well to be out and making progress.
Yeah.
They don't need me being all fluffy about stuff that happens in another country. They need to know what they
Mhm.
need to know to be
Yeah.
safe to go home. And
Mhm.
bringing a donut, let me tell you, it's their love language too.
Oh my gosh. So what are clearly there's the safety things of the actual protocols, right?
Hmm.
What um how can we benefit like from for listeners that are maybe in different industries and maybe not necessarily thinking to that depth that you do every single day about the hands that built the cities and houses we
Hmm.
live in? What are some tools that you feel might be helpful or universal for just any of our listeners to kind of understand the importance of what your mission is here in life?
So recently, what most people don't know is suicide prevention in construction is a huge deal.
Mhm.
Construction workers are the third leading suicide rate in the United States, right after doctors and emergency services.
Mm.
It breaks my heart. I mean, just to know that, just to hear that data just is crushing to me. These are the people that I work with. These are the people that I love and talk to every day. That one every 12 minutes is trying to commit or has completed suicide.
Mm.
It it's a terrible fact to say, but we need to talk about this. We need to let people know that there's help. 988, the National Suicide Helpline, Lifeline. It is there for people to call. Not only is it there for construction workers, it's there for their family members. It's there for the office workers. It's there for you and me.
Mhm.
And this is the message I want to get to everyone is that we can all have conversations. We all can communicate, but we have to be intentional about it. We have to show that humanity. We have to show that kindness, that we actually care about and value somebody's life. And that can be as simple as, hey, can I help you? Do you need help? And the key thing to this all, the number one key thing to this is you have to be prepared and ready for that person when they say, yes, I need your help. What are you going to do when that person says, yes, please come over here? Yes, help me make that phone call to 988.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously a topic that is not easy and not comfortable, and yet so important because it affects such a huge amount of our population. There's probably a lot of don't think we'd have time in the episode to unpack all the why behind that. Certainly, there's a lot of different layers
Mm.
involved. But it's important. What are you seeing in your immediate space at work in the construction space? How are these conversations going? How is this helping? What are people doing? How are the tables turning, so to speak?
So we know we're having these conversations. Everybody's having the conversation amongst each other. The C suites are having, like, what are we
Mm,
doing? How are we doing this? But no one's giving each other the tools on how to have the conversation. They're having
mm,
them, but we're not talking about how to have them, how to react when the yes is said. We need to talk about now how to train each other in that level of humanity and empathy
yeah.
in a career and a profession that is so stoked, that is so tough. I mean, when most people hear, "Oh, I'm a construction worker," which I take a lot of pride in saying that, we usually think of like the brawny man. We think of somebody in like a flannel shirt and Levi's. And but it's not always that's not always the case. I mean, we're dealing with substance abuse, we're dealing with alcoholism, we're dealing with we're coming out of a global pandemic where
Mhm.
our essential workers didn't get to work from home. They had to show up every day.
Mm, mhm.
We're dealing with a lot of mental issues that we need to make people feel comfortable about talking about mental illness. We need to let people know it's okay to have these conversations,
Yeah.
and we need to know how to have the conversations. We're having them at all levels. We're just not training people on how to have them. And
Mhm.
that's where the intent and the impact comes in with your words. And
Yeah,
words matter. Words matter so much. One of the things that I find is an absolute tragedy are people who want to play chicken with other people's lives or call their
mm,
bluff. And I'm
mhm.
like, why would you ever do that to anyone? Well, and it absolutely baffles me in my mindset of somebody who is of service.
Yeah,
And let's teach people how to be human again and have that humanity and even the most stoic of all professions.
totally. Yeah, I'm hearing you. The words matter. Definitely not being willy-nilly on the way that we communicate and making light of such a important topic. What is, if people are feeling uncomfortable or uncertain about how to have a conversation, what is the first step? How do they even lean into this conversation space? What would you tell people to kind of get that understanding of how they can be proactive in this space?
Learn about the topic, and it can
Okay.
be any topic. I know suicide is probably one of the heavier ones to
Yeah.
talk about, and at the rapid pace that it's happening in the construction industry, I would say let's take a minute to learn about it. What are the
Mm,
signs? What are the
mhm.
symptoms?
Yeah.
What is going to keep you safe? How do we keep you safe? If you're not ready to have the conversation, but somebody's showing the signs and the symptoms of withdrawal, fatigue, and all these different signs and symptoms that we is a whole nother podcast.
Mhm.
Um, who do you go to say, hey, I'm really concerned about this person? And having that resource, or actually, where do I go on the internet to get this person this resource? Where
Mhm.
are my
Yeah.
HR people? Who are my friends that I can trust? Who are
Mhm.
my friends that I know have my back and
Mm.
truly have your back? And I think about the friends that I have helped me when I was in a dark place. And
Mm.
the simple conversation is, can I help you? And I think that's where you start. You start
Yeah.
genuine and authentic with that question. Can I help
Mhm.
you? What do you need?
Yeah. It's really interesting on a like a much obviously lower impact level, but probably why it seems so obvious that this would work in like the heat of a challenging situation is like when someone if I'm feeling like flustered about something and someone asks me, "How can I help you?
Mhm.
What do you need?" Even if it's like around the house, "How can I help
Mhm.
you?" A lot of times just having heard the question and having someone acknowledge is is enough. And my own mental health journey has its own whatever, again, could be a whole other episode. Uh, and yet sometimes we overcomplicate the things, and that just occurred to me that, um, sometimes if we ask, "Hey, how can I help?" That is just creating this opening of, "Oh my gosh, someone cares and someone hears me." And we may not actually need something right in that moment other than to have a moment and then regroup and know that we can take that moment, or if there is, then okay, what do I need? That could step back. Okay, you know what I need is if you could go help me with the dishwasher. I don't know, something like that. Like framing it up so that people do hear that they're being heard and cared about, and then really going, what do I need?
I have two parts to that too on
Yeah,
that.
cool.
It gives you
Okay.
permission to speak about what's truly on your mind. It gives you
Yeah.
permission because I'm saying I'm that conduit. Go ahead. You're in a safe space with me.
Yeah.
You can tell me the dishwasher door is broken and it's really just the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
Or, like you can tell me anything like that. I can come to you or I can go to my partner and I can say, "Hey, you know what? This isn't working for me." But it's a safe space. It's a conduit.
Mhm.
I also think I also think the follow-up. The follow-up's really important. It doesn't have to be immediate. And usually people are like, "Well, how do I follow up with this?" You
Mhm.
just say, "Hey, are you doing okay today? Hey, I'm going to text you tomorrow. Hey, you know what? I'm going to come in and like just call you tonight and just make
Yeah.
sure you're okay. I want to hear your voice." Those
Mhm.
acts of kindness, those
Mm.
acts of civility are
Mhm.
the keys to creating that safe space. Like, and you're creating accountability for both of you.
Yeah.
You're making accountability to that person. Like, hey, I'm going to be here when that person calls me or texts me, and I'm going to answer back that.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's not that great. Like today sucked. Today's absolutely sucked, and I'm here to listen. It's my privilege and my honor to listen to that person. Tell me why it sucked. Tell me
Mhm.
what's going on. Do you want me to call? Do you want me to come over? What do you need? Because
Mhm.
again,
Yeah.
that authenticity is that communication. That is where the money's at. That's the happiness.
Mhm.
That's where you make somebody feel valued.
Yeah. I'm wondering when you are in your, meetings or when you've been speaking at a lot of different events
Mhm.
actually lately about this exact subject. Are people feeling more comfortable yet once they've had, some exposure to this conversation? Are people chiming in and maybe giving some proof of the pudding that it works and saying, "Hey, you know what? Someone reached out to me." Like, are you collecting new information, I guess? Are you getting to this next level of now we're opening up and having conversations and we're seeing that it's working?
Great question. It's I usually open up the conversation like, do you know someone or have you experienced someone in your life completing suicide?
Mm,
We don't say committed, we say complete.
mm,
And it's the communication that matters. And you would be surprised at how many people raise their hands in these meetings. And you're like,
Oh,
whoa, whoa. It's usually 80% of my audience raising their hands.
whoa.
And in all trades and in all my conferences that I'm going to and talking to, that's,
Wow, well,
people that
wait,
are,
just to reiterate that, that's 80% approximately in all of your audiences of people who
yeah,
know someone
who has
who
completed
has
suicide.
completed. Wow.
Yeah,
Whoa.
that's a huge, huge, and for people to raise their hand and be so vulnerable in that space,
Yeah.
it's really intimate. It's like,
Yep.
we're going to have this conversation and it's going to be hard. And I'm going to tell you how I have these hard conversations with some of the most incredible human beings that,
Mhm.
you don't think that even say 3 words a day. But I'm having really difficult conversations with, in really difficult situations, and with some great humans. And we all need
Mm.
to know that you don't judge a book by its cover. You never know what's going on in their life.
Yeah.
Um, and how can you help them? And you may not be helping them directly, but you may be
Mhm.
helping their daughter. You may be helping their son. You may be
Yeah.
helping their wife, their mom.
Yep.
And that's what, or even their niece or nephew. And that's where those hands were being raised, was that it was somebody in a family, somebody in a friend's family that had
Mm.
completed the act. And we don't want anybody to commit self harm. We want them to know, hey, there's help. And if it's not for you, there's help out there. There's
Yeah.
so much help out there. We just need to have that conversation.
Mhm.
We're having the conversations, but how we have them is where I'm honing in, is like, you can do it too. You can have the conversation. I can have the conversation. My construction teams can have the conversation. And that's where I'm
Mm.
really hitting, is the boots on the ground. And that's what we call our construction workers, is boots on the ground.
Right.
Um, and
Yeah.
and they appreciate that. And I have a nickname that the boots on the ground gave me, and it's nationwide. Everybody knows me as Safety Sondra, and
I
I
love
love
it.
my nickname. And that to me means like trust, caring. It means that I have the knowledge that they need, and I'm always so proud when they come to me and ask me questions, and I'm able to deliver.
Yeah.
And that that's what lights my life up. That's the service. That's my calling. That is
Mhm.
what makes me who I am.
I love it. You are always glowing when I hear you talk about what you do. And I love what you were saying too about how it may not be that person, that exact person in the room that you're talking to, that it is far beyond that. It's the people in our personal lives. And I've had some conversations recently with some other people that, like, I do a lot of time doing corporate training, like team building and such, obviously teaching like improv for better communication in the workplace, right? And what I commonly find out, and what I know I hear from other people in the consultant space, is that we teach these principles to these teams, and then the ripple effect is often so individualized, and it is going into people's homes. It's going into other communities and circles. So that impact continues to just flow to all the other lives that we're touching. And so really putting that into perspective of how important it is to get people in that space, the seemingly, gruff and tough industry, and having them be part of the solution and
Yep.
leading the charge in these big changes, that will have such a massive positive impact in the way that they show up differently in our communities.
Mhm.
Mm,
And giving them the information that they can use,
yeah.
and saying, here's the resource. You can have this conversation too. Because again,
Mhm.
everybody's having the conversation, but nobody knows how to have the conversation.
Yeah.
And I just feel blessed that this is my calling in life, and this is what
Mhm.
I get to do. And you think
Yep.
about it, and it almost brings tears to my eyes. Like,
Mhm.
again, I thought baking cakes was going to be my thing, and making my friends birthday cakes, and that was going to be the happiness. But being a person that gets to talk to, maybe possibly saving a human life, that,
Yeah.
to a human I may never meet, because somebody learned how to say, are you okay? Can I help you?
Mhm.
And mean it with intent, and start that connection and that safety. And, you know, I love this quote. What if your success, all your success, everything you have, was measured by how safe people feel by you, around you,
Mm.
how they safe they
Mhm.
feel around you? And that's the measurement of your success. What if your success was measured by the amount of kindness people felt around you?
Mhm.
Not your cars, not your house, not your bank account. What if people felt the humanity in your presence? And
Mhm.
that is essential safety. That is safety.
Totally. Absolutely. I mean, you started your career in a space of physical safety in sometimes dangerous places, and yet it's the emotional safety and that ability to really have that humanity that is, well, it's why you're top in the field and why you are becoming this global phenom and in high demand. So, um, it's amazing, and you do it in such a accessible way, and I really appreciate that about you and all the things that I've learned from you and just seeing, how much of a force for good that you are in the world. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for being one of the best in my life. I do recommend that everybody grabs a mentor and you get to be one of mine. And I feel that having that type of mentorship helps me excel. It helps
Yeah.
springboard me to the next level. And I hope that I get to reciprocate that to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, as we wrap up here and before I bid you farewell for the day, if someone is out there listening and they maybe don't feel like they have someone they can lean into, and they do have maybe a gap that is not filled with people who are checking in, it can be hard to reach out. What is your recommendation for someone who might be hearing this message and needs a little connection to get to a better
Definitely.
moment?
You know, this 988 line is free.
Mhm.
It's confidential. And it's always available 24/7. And if you don't feel like calling someone, you can actually go on 998lifeline.org and you can connect there. They understand some people don't want to talk. We have a whole
Mm.
generation that loves text. And there's
Yep.
you can text these these helpful volunteers that are willing and certified to make your life better, to make you feel valued. And I
Mhm.
think that's where people want that what people really want is they want to know that they have value here on this earth and that it's never too late to talk. It's, always call. And again, 988 is the national hotline. It is so fantastic. Um, they have EAP counselors. They have, you can do face to face. You can do
Mm.
FaceTime with them if you want,
Oh, wow.
and it's just really great. It's such a resource that people really are not tapping into, and it really surprises me, even though I talk about this all the time and I'm talking on global levels,
Mhm.
that 988 is still not a common number like 911. So,
Mm.
so we need to
Interesting.
get that message out there. 988.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you for being a very loud and proud voice for that number. We'll make sure that the links are also available in the show notes so that people can find that with ease. And I thank you once again for bringing your amazing energy and powerful messages and just all of your zest for life to the I Hardly Know Her podcast. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Megan.
Thanks for tuning in to the I Hardly Know Her podcast. For information about leadership workshops, public speaker training, and all things kooky Megan, check out improvteamculture.com. We'll catch you next time.